Well, as you know, I always say this that the Mondays are normally the most boring day starting the week. But, however, today is going to be a much exciting, fun Monday for everyone. So, today is all GCW with their latest two shows that took place back last Friday and last Saturday. The first one being, of course, Look at Me in Tampa, and of course, the annual Effy's Big Gay Brunch 8. So, I'm excited to review both of them. But however, we are going to talk about a very interesting segment that took place on Raw. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about Seth Rollins issuing a very interesting, important facts towards Cody on his decision making after winning the Royal Rumble. And then we cap it up with some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course developments that have been happening throughout the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We we also do discussion videos, talk about the wrestlers, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to get our hands on. And we also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. And we also do the Nunagi Sayaka watch and more news updates on the alert time and everything else. But if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and, of course, every cool stuff on this channel as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, as I said earlier in the start of this video, it's all about GCW, so we're going to be reviewing Look at Me. That's right, this is one of their shows recently they did in Tampa on the 26th of January. It opened up with AJ Francis versus Joey Janela. Now, before this match actually started, both these guys were already booked, but however, AJ Francis attacked Joey Janela in a much recent event. So basically, he's just trying to make a name himself by using Joey Janela at his own expense. So the obvious question does tell. Now, you could say people still have some harboring problems towards AJ Francis in the past. Now, that has nothing to do with him being a WWE guy. It's more like, how to say, you've been booked before, but all of a sudden you went back. So that sort of thing. There were people that were still angry about that. But the real question is, how will the bad boy overcome a huge individual like AJ Francis? Well, the bad boy probably doesn't give a damn, but he'll figure it out. Now, when you thought in the moment AJ Francis did have this match won, somehow uh, Joey Janela reversed a choke slam and converted it into a roll up. 1, 2, 3, blammo! He pinned the big man. So that was a good victory out of Joey Janela. Next up, we have Jack Cartwheel versus Lio Rush. So this is a pretty good match. I mean, you could say it stands out in both either like the cruiserweight, the middleweight, the junior heavyweight, however you want. But you cannot deny they both are very talented when it comes to that. But In the end, in this particular match, it was Lio Rush with the frog splash, or as he calls it, the final hour, that put away Jack Cartwheel to give him the W. Next up, we had a very interesting four-way women's match. We have Dark Sheik, Lindsay Snow, Ali Catch, and Masha Slamovich. Now, these are fantastic wrestlers we have seen over time. I mean, Dark Sheik, she is fantastic. She is like one of those wrestlers you want to cheer on. Lindsay Snow, we've seen her on various promotions. Ali Catch, well, we know she has been part of GCW for a long time, and not to mention Masha. So, how was this going to be? Well, there were going to be various ways how this was going to go, but in the end, it was a chokehold by Masha to Lindsay that picked up the win and walked away with it. Next up, we have a 6-person tag match. We have Los Macizos, Ciclope and Medio Extremo teaming up with Rina Yamashita, taking on Mr. Danger and the Garbage Daddies, consisting of Alec Price and Cold Radrick. Now, I have seen how Cold Radrick and Alec Price have teamed up. They have been becoming a stable tag team. But however, when it comes to having a third person, that's a different dynamic. But how will that play out with the team that has that dynamic for a while now? And I'm talking about Los Macizos and Rina Yamashita. So they've already teamed up before. They have shown what they can do. So how would that play out? Well, it did play out pretty well because it was, of course, Rina Yamashita with the splash mount on Mr. Danger to pick up the win. So you can say Mr. Danger was the X factor because not much. He may be cohesive, but not enough since he did not have the necessary time that he had with the Garbage Daddy. So basically, that played out pretty well. Now, our next match is the debut of Mansoor. I think this is his first time as a singles competitor making his way to GCW. He has to face against the biggest a-hole on the planet. That's right, you know who I'm talking about, Tony Deppen. Basically, these two guys do have technical wrestling aspects, so that played out pretty well. But man, you can see a lot of that technical aspect being played out in this good match. But however, it was Tony Deppen with the crossface onto Mansoor to pick up the win, and I'm sure he's lasting his ugly fat ass up knowing he defeated Mansoor. Next up, we have the Fatus. Jacob and Zilla Fatu teaming up. They take on Jay Lyons and Midas Black, better known as the main event. Now, you know that this was going to be a very interesting match to team up. Now, those who are not familiarized with Zilla Fatu is the son of the late Umaga. If you guys remember that guy Umaga from WWE, this is his son. So he teams up with a member of his family, Jacob Fatu. You know this was going to be interesting. But towards the end, it was Zilla Fatu with the Samoan Spike, a move that Umaga, his late father, used. And I think Solo Sikoa also uses that too. So that move was effective. He used it on Midas Black. 1, 2, 3, the Fatus won their match. Now, our next match, we have Jai Vidal taking on Broski Jimmy Lloyd. Now, as you know, every member of that group with that dumb piece of garbage, Matt Cardona, they have their own internet title. Well, Matt Cardona gave him his own, which of course is ridiculous. But it did show him that he can do better without, because as you know, Jimmy Lloyd doesn't have a good record in death matches that much. I mean, he has one here and there, but he's not as big as he is. But since joining Matt Cardona, it kind of helped. But it was, of course, Jimmy Lloyd with the Zack Ryder that played out pretty well. But first he tried to use the belt on his opponent, Jai Vidal. Referee intervened, but he accidentally hit Jai Vidal with the belt. I hate to see the referee being knocked out by Jai Vidal at some point, but it was the Zack Ryder, or as Matt Cardona calls it, the radio silence, that put away Jai Vidal for Jimmy to pick up the win. Now, our next match, this is a very interesting one. We have a hardcore match, John Wayne Murdoch versus Gringo Loco. This is something unique. Now, Gringo Loco, you don't know him as a guy who gets involved in hardcore matches or death matches, but he's facing a guy who's the king of hardcore, the Duke, John Wayne Murdoch. But oh my God, these two guys went to the max. You probably would say this is gonna be a brutal match. Yes, it was, but it was Gringo Loco with the moonsault with the chairs that put away John Wayne Murdoch to pick up the win. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on multiple occasions in hardcore matches, but it played out pretty well for him. Now our next match, this is for the World Tag Team titles. Violence Forever taking on a group of guys I'd never heard of, called Culture Inc. You can say, as always with this match, that Violence Forever were gonna retain this belt, but Culture Inc. did actually were a bit of impressive, but it was a combination of the Insiguri Brainbuster by Violence Forever that allowed them to regain their belts. This next match, we have a very interesting thing. We have the local competitor taking on the American Giant. This match ended under 1 minute and 19 seconds. It was the American Giant that did a choke slam on the local competitor. However, at the end of this match, Joey Janela talked to the American Giant, saying that he would like to invite him in his thing called the Cluster Fudge in Philly this coming April. So of course, he appeared and he said that he accepts. However, it was this little moment was ruined by the arrival of Para. We did not expect that to happen. Even Joe Janela tried to stop him, but luckily his opponent for the upcoming event, Karam, showed up to take matters in his own hands. So he just hopes that this doesn't ruin anything. Now our next match, we have the GCW World Title. We have Marcus Mathers taking on Blake Christian. Now, here's the thing. Originally, we were supposed to have Sawyer Wreck on this one, but unfortunately, Sawyer Wreck was feeling sick, suffering from food poisoning. So Marcus Mathers decided was one available to take on the spot, which he did. I have to say there was some great moments in this match. Even Joey Janela was supporting Marcus Mathers because no one can stand Blake Christian, who finds his ways to cheat his way through to ensure the matches. And that's exactly what happened. He sent his little dumb brute, Shane Mercer, to do his dirty work. But of course, it was the sharpshooter that put away Marcus Mathers for Blake Christian to pick up the win. But of course, he wouldn't let go of Marcus Mathers until George Gillette wanted to do something about it. So he went to confront him, saying that he wants a title shot. But of course, Blake Christian reminded him that he already beat him 3 times. And he said that he'll put the world title on the line if he puts the Extreme title. But of course, Joey Janela told him that he's always been GCW. Basically, he's one of his guys. And of course, I'm sure Blake Christian does not like that. So he did say, I will put the title, but it's not going to happen in Philly. I'm not going to allow you to use the spring break under your own expense. I'm sure Blake Christian wants that because he wants to take everything away from him, but it's not going to happen under his terms. So we'll see where that leads us from there on out. Now, our main event. This is a rivalry between two friends, blood brothers, Effy versus Mance Warner. This became when Mance Warner turned his back on Effy. They signed the contract and all this, but how will this match lead on? Well, this match went chaotic. They basically went at it each other, not to mention this match went into no contest when Mance Warner took out the ref. And then he tried to burn Effy alive when he brought gasoline. Dark Sheik tried to talk him out. Well, it didn't happen. And then Alley Cats tried, but Mance actually whacked her with the chair and tried to pour gas on everyone. But luckily, the entire locker room, the people from the locker room showed up to stop Mance Warner. Now you can tell in this story, it's far from over between Effy and Mance Warner. Sooner or later, they will cross paths again, but only time will tell. So I think that's pretty much it with GCW's Look at Me. Let's move on to Effy's Big Gay Brunch 8. Next, GCW Effy's Big Gay Brunch. Now, for those who are new to the channel, if you're unfamiliarized with this show, let me explain. This is where we have many wrestlers who are, you know, homosexuals and all that stuff, where they don't have to hide themselves that much in a regular ring. We know we've seen a lot of discrimination in certain promotions and all that, but this is one of those days where you get to be who you are. Now, you'd probably say, why do I watch it? Well, I like to say this before I move on. I don't give a shit if they are gay. If they can wrestle, they can wrestle. That's all that matters. I don't give a damn about that. If you can throw me a good wrestling show, if you're gay, just show it to me. That's what matters. Keep you guys an open thought of that. Now, the entire show is hosted by none other. Well, this is Effy's show, but the host is none other than Pollo Del Mar. I haven't seen her for quite some time. I think she did some stuff for NWA, but I'm not sure if she's doing that now. I know she is involved with Busted Open Radio, but nonetheless, everybody's having a good time. Now, our first match, we have Kata Murray taking on Noah Vale. I don't know who Noah Vale is, but I am familiarized with Kata Murray. A very interesting wrestler. He has that look where, he can wrestle himself. I wasn't too sure exactly what I saw at the end. It looked like the move that he applied to finish Noah Vale. It looked like the stunner, but it was like somewhere between a stunner or a backpack stunner, however you want to look at it. But basically, that's how he finished the job. Now, our next match, these are wrestlers I never heard of. One is called The Creeps. Andy Riley and Irvine West. These guys come out in these like bathrobes. They look kind of creepy, but it makes sense why. But they're facing a called The Runaway. The guy's called The Runaway. Calvin Couture and Tyler Klein. Now you probably say The Runaway, kind of like the Runaway when you see a fashion show, that sort of thing. It would make sense, but nonetheless, it was a very interesting match. Now, for the record, I don't know who these guys were, but it was a real fun match. But it was a very interesting finisher with a double roll up by the Creeps onto the Runaway. So, very interesting. Now, I may not have seen them before, but it's interesting to know you get to see other wrestlers, how they get to be wrestlers themselves. Now, our next match, we have Rico Gonzalez taking on Jai Vidal. Now, we saw Jai Vidal on and Look at Me, but see him against Rico Gonzalez, that's a different story. I have to say, this was a pretty good match. I'm not going to lie, because there were moments where you thought, okay, Jai Vidal was going to shine to the fullest, which of course he would have done on multiple occasions. But Rico Suave, who has been well recognized in the indies, you know what he's capable of. But there were moments where Jai Vidal thought he had this match won. But in the end, it was Rico Gonzalez. I don't know why I keep calling him Rico Suave. Anyway, Rico Gonzalez applied her Karana on Jai Vidal and picked up the win. Just like that. I thought it was very impressive that he outsmarted him in some way that he did not expect it was going to happen. Now, our next match, we have a scramble match. We have Ron Bass Jr., Caitlin Marie, Saraya Zaber, Sig, the daughter of Tyree, Con O'Reilly, and of course Josh Loke. Now, I don't even know who these guys are, but I did hear Pollo Del Mar and Nick Gage were like, okay, this is who I pick. Of course, Boyle picked Con O'Reilly, and I forgot who Nick Gage picked, but they were like going back and forth. But in the end, it was of course Soraya Zaber that pinned Ron Bass Jr. So yeah, but Ron Bass Jr. I have to say he has this kind of like a blue collar look, but it fit him perfectly. But it was great. So Soraya Zaber actually picked up the win. Next up, this was a real fun one. We have Billy Dixon being dressed up in a bridal headgear and all that, and being escorted by none other than Cole Radrick, even his tag partner, Alec Price. Like, how come I wasn't even invited to the wedding? So he had to face against Maid Kira. Yeah, Maid Kira. If you guys don't know, that is a character created by none other than Akira. Yes, he dressed up as a maid, a very cute one. But I wasn't too sure how this was going to be, but it was a real fun one. But of course, there was moments when Maid Kira's wig came off, and people were like, boo! They thought that, oh my god, that's highway robbery right there. I thought it was fun, but there was a moment where you saw Billy Dixon make out with Maid Kira right in front of everybody, doing the little hot cha-cha thing, and then, of course, he picked up Maid Kira and then speared her all the way through the table and picked up the win from there. I thought it was a real fun one. I think I enjoyed how fun this was. Now our next match we have Karam versus Pero. Now we did see Pero at the Look at Me show attacked the American Giant, but Karam, who has unfinished business with him, decided to take it out to him. Now you probably would say there was going to be a lot of situations in this match. But of course, Karam was being accompanied by Boyle Del Mar, as always. But there were times we did see Boyle try to help Karam, but it didn't need help because it was Pero with a driver onto Karam that picked up the win. Now our next match, we have Shay Monet. You may have recognized this person in the UK. Came all the way across the pond to take on Dark Sheik. I have to say this match was incredible. I was like impressed by both these people, what they were doing. I'm like, wow, fantastic. I mean, you can tell it was brutalized. Monet was intending to pick up the win, but in the end, Dark Sheik used some sort of object to choke out Chez Monet, and of course, Chez Monet did not tap out for the record. It was already over from there, and ref made the necessary decision to stop. So it was over right from there. Now, our next match, we have Lindsay Snow versus Sawyer Wreck. It's great to see Sawyer Wreck. Hope she felt a lot better after the food poisoning, but she has to face Lindsay Snow. But however, she had to deal with another pain in the ass, and that is Lindsay Snow's manager, named Anya Fox, who kept getting herself involved in this, causing a lot of problems. I mean, there were a lot of weapons being used. The hard fort was being involved too, and all that. But it was a choke bomb by Sawyer Wreck through Lindsay Snow, through a table. 1, 2, 3. It was over right from there. Now, our next match. This is our main event. We have the debut of MXM. As you know, these guys are the release talent of WWE. Mansoor and Mace Madden. I wasn't too sure, but here's what happens. They talk about this, and they do a little 5-minute pose until it was interrupted by Bussy. That's right, Bussy was involved. Ali Catch and Effy. So I thought this match was gonna be fun, and I thought it was interesting because it was a moment where, of course, the MXM tried to walk out. So Ali Catch, how about let's do a walk off. So they had to do a little poses thing, and of course the referee had no clue what to do. So it was like, okay. So who won? MMX. They all like boo. We'll see. Yay! I thought there was some good matches on this one. I mean, fantastic. But the way this match ended, Effy kissed Mace. He was like in a deep trance, and then of course rolled up by Effy, and it was over. But however, during the post match, Effy tells both Mansoor and Mace that they are a lot of fun to have in the ring. So basically, they just told them to welcome to the gay west or something, to the wild gay west, something like that. And of course, they were happy to say that at least they have great time with guys like them. And then they end the show with the pose. I'm like, not bad. I have to say, this was a fun match. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was amazing. I think Effy likes having these guys. I wouldn't be surprised if they invite them for the next big gay brunch that will happen in April. So we'll just wait and see what happens. So I think we're done with our review. So let's talk about the WWE segment that took place on Raw. Before I proceed, those who know me, who's been on this channel from day one, I don't watch WWE that much, except for NXT and NXT Level Up. But there are, of course, the occasions I watch certain pay-per-views like WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble, whatever I want to talk about. But a friend of mine told me about this segment, and I had to watch, and I had to give my honest opinion. I say it was a good promo, but there's mixed reactions towards fans of what they think of it. Now, let's talk about what's going on. Let's begin back at the Royal Rumble. As you know, the Royal Rumble is over. For the men's side, we know who in fact won, and it's for 2 years in a row it happened. We're talking about Cody winning the Royal Rumble, but the real question does tell us, who's he going to face? Roman Reigns for the undisputed for the WWE Undisputed Championship, or Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And surprise, surprise, he picked Roman Reigns. Now, we all know that Cody wants to finish the story. That's the general conception about what we've been witnessing since Cody Rhodes has been since his return. However, one particular person wasn't too fond of the idea of Cody picking Roman. Now, he showed up in Cody's face and put out certain things. Seth Rollins was like thinking, Cody, man, why did you pick Roman Reigns? Huh? So he's telling him, do you want to face a guy who doesn't show up, who shows up every other week, every other month, or every other 6 months? You know, so he's telling him that, how do I say, picking him is inadequate. He's not a champion. He's not defending the belt like he is. Now, keep in mind, he's saying that that his title, the World Heavyweight title, was built for him to prove that he's a fighting champion. We've seen Roman Reigns every time. He doesn't defend the belt like normal wrestlers would. So he's saying, do you want the Hollywood title or the Dusty Rhodes title? So he's saying that he's better off choosing him as his opponent. Now, many fans are saying that this title has nothing to do with Cody Rhodes, the World Heavyweight title. And generally speaking, yes, I would agree with that conception. But Seth Rollins have defended that belt proudly against anybody. That's always been the case that we have witnessed. But however, what does Cody think? I'm sure he was thinking exactly what Seth was talking about. But the WWE Undisputed title does have a bit of the history. It has the bit of the history where that was the title that his own father, the late Dusty Rhodes, could never obtain when he was still alive. But the real question is he going to go for it? But what is the response I think many people we never question about? Many fans that I know, especially if you guys are paying attention, you probably say, go for Roman Reigns' belt. But we need to think of another factor here. What does Roman Reigns think of all of this? Should Cody, I'm sure that sneaking little fat ass weasel, Paul Heyman, will try to persuade Cody to go for that belt. But what does Roman Reigns make of all of this? So I feel like Roman Reigns may not like what Seth Rollins is saying. He's telling Cody, my man, Roman Reigns is not a champion. He's lazy. But you're not. I'm not. So that questions we never ask. I think many fans elude that question. Yes, okay, Cody should go for Roman Reigns, but we never ask ourselves the obvious question. What does Roman Reigns thinks of what Seth Rollins said? Is he saying that belt is useless? The one that Roman Reigns has? That's something we haven't considered. I've been thinking about that like right after watching the segment, and I thought, what does Roman Reigns thinks? Is he going to have a problem with him saying, you're not a champion, Romans, because you're not defending it every single time. You're hiding out. So I'm looking for that moment where Roman Reigns will take matters in his own hands and tell Seth that he is a fighting champion. But of course, I am expecting Paul Heyman saying Cody is better off going after Seth Reigns' belt rather than protect the chief. That's what he wants. But I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Reigns tried to plead a case and tells Paul Heyman, I want Cody to challenge me. That is something we could expect. But however, we'll just see what happens until I'm looking for. But I'm asking to all of my subscribers right now, what do you think Cody should do? Should he take on the offer of Seth Rollins to go for the WWE World Heavyweight title, or stay on the original plan, go after Roman Reigns and the WWE Undisputed title? You tell me, and we'll see what happens in results. So once that result comes in, I'll applaud those who say you were right. Now, let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So let's start out with updates with the promotions on their upcoming events. Now, we're getting closer to February, so here's what we have. As you know, we have Ganbare Joshi taking place on the 12th of February. I cannot recall where the venue is, but 4 matches have been announced for that particular day. We have Yuri, who will be facing, of course, Miyu Momono from Marvelous. I have to say that's going to be a good match. We have tag team action taking place as well. Alex Lee from Singapore will be teaming with Yoshiko Hasegawa. They take on JC Storm and Yappy from Ice Ribbon. We have Ram Kaicho and Surumi Natsu teaming up. They take on Bani Oikawa and Kaho Kobayashi. And finally, we have Riara facing off against Kuzina Tanaka. So that's going to be an interesting match to watch. Now, moving on, we have, of course, 2 matches have been announced for the upcoming LA show with West Coast Pro on the Bridge that will take place on the 18th of February. Chris Hero will be facing against Adrian Quest, which was announced at the Ill Matter show. It's now been made official. But we also going to have another 8-man tag match. We have Jaya Jewel, Ishmael Vogue, Kata Murray, and Vinny Masario. They take on J2 Marioli, Jaguar Montoya, Lil Cholo, and Lazarus. I'm surprised to hear that J2 is in it, because those who don't know, J2 is a local wrestler here in my hometown of San Diego. Then we have, of course, a title match for the GCW at GCW's Touch the Sky, and it's the World Tag Team titles. Violence is Forever will face off against Murder Sauce. Oh, yes. I want Murder Sauce to beat Violence is Forever. I want that. Sorry, I'm I get so pumped when I hear matches like that. I'm like, yeah, I love Murder Sauce. They're amazing. Now, anyway, moving on. Baka Gaijin and Friends is announced another show. This is volume 12 that will take place on the 27th of February. Now, no wrestlers have been announced who will be booked. I'm looking forward to say who's going to be in it. Now, we are going to see a bit of a collaboration between two promotions. We have West Coast Pro. Will be collaborating with United Wrestling Network for a show called Delirious that'll take place on the 12th of March. So we got a long way to go until they make announcements and bookings on that one. So I'm looking forward to that. Now let's talk about certain developments. Now, you may have heard about what's been going on. Mercedes Mone did not make a show at the Royal Rumble, which of course many fans were hoping that was going to happen. But, however, certain things have come around. This one was coming from a Wrestle Purist via PW Insider, I believe. Yes. Let me pull it up. Yes, this is what they said. Mercedes Mone will be working in a pro wrestling by March, not for WWE. So it's now been told it's not going to be WWE at all. But they are saying that she is planning to visit Japan. Now, let's emphasize visit. No, it doesn't mean that she's going to wrestle in Japan. Many people already speculated about that, but no, it's not. This big return will happen in the U.S. But when they ask about if she's going to make an AEW bound, it was said they couldn't confirm. But they asked, is it TNA bound? And they said clearly, no. So basically, it's more like, okay, we know it's not WWE, we know it's not TNA, so most likely it could be AEW, but it's not confirmed yet. But the visit to Japan is mostly like maybe she's just there for something. Now, what could possibly mean? I can only speculate because there are many people that speculate one particular match that could happen, and that could be, of course, I'm going to say possibly Julia. You got to remember she finishes things in March with Stardom. So basically, that could be it. Hold on, let me check something about. Nope, it's not. I thought the match would be in Windy City, but it's not it. But we'll see what happens. Um, yes. So now certain things have been answered that she'll be wrestling will be back in March to wrestle, but not for WWE or TNA. But we cannot confirm whether it's AEW. So let's move on. Now, as you know, we did see CMPunk wrestle at Royal Rumble. Apparently, it was now confirmed that he has torn a bicep during his match, so he will need surgery. But of course, we did see he appeared in Raw, addressed to the audience on that matter. So yeah. Now, Triple A, the Lucha promotion, Lucha Libre, has announced that there's going to be a brand new Taurus. Some of you may be confused about that. Don't they have one already? No. You see, here's how it goes, guys. Certain wrestling promotions own the trade, kind of like WWE would see. This is not a similar situation. It's the same thing what we saw with various brands, like of course La Parka situation. If you guys remember, the original La Parka left with Conan to come here to the States for WCW. Antonia Peña, the founder of AAA, decided to rebuild La Parka into a new wrestler who donned that mask, and that's the same La Parka who passed away a few years ago. And we saw that with several others. So basically, the guy who played Black Taurus will no longer be using that name, but they will introduce this guy real soon. But on February 18th, we just don't know when. I'm kind of will stay on top of that one. However, for the OG Black Taurus, it's now been said that he is heading for AEW/Ring of Honor. So we'll stand by for that. Now, if I have any subscribers who, in fact, already made plans to go to LA to see the Kitsu Women's Wrestling Show, as you know, certain changes were made due to some visa issues by many of the Joshi wrestlers that are unable to participate. Well, Marika Kobashi was amongst those wrestlers that was had to be pulled out due to the visas. But she posted out this on her X account. I regretted to share the disappointing news that my scheduled bout match in the United States on March 24th has been canceled. Despite informing the university about skipping the graduation ceremony in Japan on that same day to go to the US, the organization informed me that the insurance on the visa for the US couldn't be complete in time. Well, it's disheartening. I don't mind to I don't intend to blame the organizers, and they have mentioned inviting me to the US in the later half of 2024 instead. I was eagerly looking forward to my first visit in America. Sadly, this marks the second consecutive cancellation of the US match for me. If there's any overseas shows around March 24th, I would greatly appreciate any offers. So basically, her visa issues to the U.S. She addressed it. She even was saying it was kind of her to say that she doesn't blame anybody. I mean, this is her second time. She was supposed to be here at some other point, but I never did. So it's great that she addressed her fans who were looking forward to seeing her. I hope things can work out for a third time. Like they always say, third time's the charm. So we'll see what happens until then. But for right now, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have NXT, so we'll see what happens until then. But I'm not sure exactly about the NWA show. As you know, they're supposed to have the very first day on the CW. I don't have that channel, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But I am considering trying to watch whatever I haven't seen yet. There is still um the recent Wrestling Revolver show, Gringo, Mox versus Gringo. Then there's of course the All Japan show that took place recently, and of course the last three Pro Wrestling Noah shows. So there's still a lot of debate on that. But I'll get on top of those as soon as possible. But we'll see what the NWA show will do. Um, I don't have that channel anymore. I highly doubt they're going to put it on YouTube, but we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to wing it and see what happens. But NXT is a top priority. So until then, I will see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.